Ooh. Ooh. Mm-mm. Dripping. Mm-mm. Going live and making a mess. Hello, hello, happy Sunday. Hey y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome back or welcome in. This is Kiss the Ring, and I am back off in this thing. And y'all, I know the notifications may go out. Y'all gonna come in or y'all gonna catch it on the replay. I don't want to delay getting started too long because I don't really plan on I don't plan to be on here too long. Hey, 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 welcome, welcome. Let's see if the chat is going. Um, and just ooh, as soon as I hit live, I start spilling something. Hold on, I'm trying to clean it up real quick. But anyway, y'all, I came on here about Gabby again from ASI. And I don't have a whole lot to say this time, but I looked at more of that Gabby video from that day that she got put out the hotel room and motel room, out the motel room. And I was listening to something she said, and I still feel like Marcus should have been a little bit easier with her, considering he knows the population he's dealing with and what they're dealing with. So I don't feel like you can just treat them like everybody else. But this is what I want to talk about. Hold on one second now. Okay. Mm, okay. This is what I want to talk about. Gabby was talking to Marcus, and at some point in time, she mentioned the conversation came to the part about her ID. She said a bunch of slow A people, and she said a bunch of fake A help. And as I was listening to her talk, I started thinking. See, initially, I sat there and watched her with tears in her eyes and tears rolling down her face. And I think I let it hit my emotions. I felt bad for her. And I still do, but hear me out though. As much as I still do feel bad for her, as I listened to her say that, it, it was giving entitled. It was giving entitled to me. She got herself in a situation, regardless of what it was that spoke to her, that told her to snatch a wig and go take off running, that landed her in jail, that now she's getting out and she needs help. Regardless of what it was that made her at 23 years old not be finishing a trade or about to graduate college or doing some sort of job and getting into her career and not being in the streets, regardless of whatever that was, those decisions were that led her there. The people working at whatever place she went to for help, they didn't cause her to be in this situation. They're not the ones who put her in a situation where she doesn't have ID and she needs some sort of assistance getting ID. Whereas most functional adults, if they lose their ID, they walk into DMV, whatever they call it, wherever you are, and they get a replacement ID or driver's license. Hell, at her age, they got their own place. They have a transportation. They got all the things. But there's some different choices that she made that landed her in the situation that she's in. Therefore, she needs assistance. She needs assistance with basic things like getting an ID. And it seems as though she's expecting a fast turnover. Like, does she expect to go to the front of the line? Like, does she not think that there's a bunch of people waiting for help just like her? Does she think her situation is more emergent than the next person's situation? Maybe it's a slow process. There's reasons for it, maybe. But it's not right for her to expect overnight results. So, therefore, she decided to call it slow and call them fake. All I heard was entitlement. Now, I still think that Marcus should have given her a little bit of time or something before just throwing her out of that motel room. Unless he had given a warning or a some sort of precursor to say like, "Hey, you are here for this, and if you don't fulfill that, you're gone." And if he hasn't done that, I think that's exactly what he should do. To say, "Listen, you are in this is my form of a content house. This is a social experiment, or you're in an experiment. And if you do not fit the criteria of the experiment anymore, you're gone." You know, like they do on reality TV, when they put them out, they put them out. Now, truth be told, some of those shows will put them up in like a hotel, motel, whatever, until they go home. But some of them, once they get rid of them, you're out of there. And when I was looking at the video, and I was looking at her entitled attitude, and I was thinking about something I didn't think about before. He brought them over there to get content, to interview them and get more into their lives and their situation. She agreed. The exchange is content, and then for her, a place to stay. Even if she doesn't like being asked repeatedly about spicy content, as long as he doesn't force her, then sometimes you're going to have to take the good with the bad. But he doesn't owe her anything. The people that you would think owe her something, where are they? So why does she expect that out of him? And so if she wasn't in the room and she was MIA and he couldn't get the content that he needed on her, then what benefit is it to him to let her stay in that room? Yes, she's supposed to be working on her ID, but if she go and spend all day and then she got to turn around and go back the next day, that's kind of, isn't that how it is when you go into offices like that? You got government workers usually, lots of people, high demand, low wages, and bad attitudes. She might have to go a few days in a row. She might have to go and do some things in order for them to help her. She can't just walk in there entitled and expect an instant turnaround. That's not how life works. And she might be 23 years old, but she's not 18 or 17 or 16. She should have some sort of clue. And if she doesn't have a clue, why can't she pick up the phone? She mentioned her parents and talk to them. Where are her siblings? Where's her family? Where's her aunts? Where's her uncles? Where's her cousins? Where's her anything? Fill in the blank of people that could also speak to her and be like, hey, you might have to go a few times. Be patient. Have a better attitude. As I just watched as she continued to talk, I'm like, you need to pick your attitude up off the floor. Nobody owes you anything. And you didn't fulfill your end of the bargain. How dare you think that you should have just walked in and gotten ID? That's kind of what it was given to me. And so like I said the other day, I hadn't watched the entire video. I still got a little bit more that I need to watch, but that was towards the end, I think. But I stopped after I saw that to come over here. So I'll probably be back about it because sometimes I will watch these videos in bits and pieces and do content and then go back and forth. So that's just how that goes. Um, User, hello, hello, welcome, welcome. NY Leo, hey, NY Leo. What's up, NY? Welcome, welcome. I just was like, I just saw a whole nother side of her. It was extremely entitled. And nobody actually owes her anything. She's grown. She's 23. She's young. You know what she could do? She could get clean. She could go full time to somebody's college, get some student loans, stay in the dorm or on campus, and get her education on. That's what she could do. There are several things that she could do with herself besides laying around in a motel room, becoming an addict, hanging around a bunch of addicts, and being irritated that things aren't going your way when things don't just fall into anybody's lap. You have to put in work to get things. And in her case, some of what she wants, I think, is going to be an uphill battle. Because why? Because now she has charges. She's been in jail a few times, right? At least a couple. She's an addict. She hasn't done, from what has been revealed, from what I know, she hasn't done pretty much with herself up to the age of 23. She has to put in work. Somebody got to tell her that she got to work the hardest for herself. It sounded like she wants the workers to be doing the most. They slow. So what? You got to do what you got to do to get what you want, including if that means being in that damn room and giving Marcus content so that you can have a place to lay your head that isn't the cement and outside, and have a little food to put in your belly, and keep telling him no, you don't want to do spicy content. Even if you roll your eyes and talk crap when he walk away. And he needs, in my opinion, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do, but I would say set it up so that if the people aren't fulfilling what his intentions were or are, that they have to go. And maybe they won't get any warning. Because even though the actual motel he doesn't own, the room he is renting, and there is an exchange happening. So if he wants you out of his ish, you got to go. But like I said, when I watched it the other day, I watched this girl have glassed over eyes, and I watched her tears rolling down her face, and I'm thinking one thing, but as I watched that part of it, I was like, all I hear is entitlement, entitlement, just entitlement. Why won't she go home? Why isn't Where are her parents? Do they know what she's doing? What is her attitude like? I start thinking about the type of questions that I'll be posing when I be talking about Marissa, i.e., the bestie Westie. I start thinking about those kind of things as I listen to her talk. Why is the bestie Westie on her way back to being homeless with 3 kids? What is it about you that made you either burned bridges with family, friends, whomever, that nobody's coming through? Like, why don't you have anybody you can lean on? How long you been on some stuff? Is that it? Because one thing about some drug addicts, some addicts, family will not be bothered because an addict ain't ish. And don't nobody want no addict up in they ish. What the lady said? Ain't nobody got time for that. I am glad that she was able to go to Polo's room. I maintain that. I would not want to see her out on the street. But she has to want to not see herself out on the streets more than anyone else. So even if she didn't like feisty, she had to make a choice. Either choose not to be in the room with feisty and risk getting put out because he's not getting the content. That's one. Or two, give the exchange, because sometimes you take the wins with the losses to get what you want. And if it's having a place to rest your head that's inside, you might have to deal with the annoyance of a shisty. And she probably could have called Marcus if the guy, if tragedy I better start saying his name right before I mess around it. Ooh, anyway, before tragedy um was getting on her nerves or something like that, or if they were doing too much, she could have easily called Marcus. I'm sure he would have got it straight. He probably would have put tragedy out even sooner if that was the case. But her entitled, I was like, is that? And I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna actually watch the whole thing all the way through, because it's been choppy how I've been watching it. And I don't know if I'm gonna end up seeing everything else in a different kind of way. Cause this part, I all I heard was entitled. Entitled, do something for yourself. You're not I would even feel a little differently if she were 18. If she were 18, 19, maybe even 20. She's 23. That's young. That is so tender. But she also been outside long enough though. She got some idea. She seemed to have some clues and some ways about the streets. And I think by now she has realized. I don't think she realized anything, but I understand she was frustrated. I did say earlier that maybe he could have let her rest and, get a shower and some food in her stomach and all of that kind of stuff. I still do think that he should have extended her that and maybe came back and had a conversation with her the next morning. Who knows? Maybe it would have came with a warning or whatever. But it seemed like she needed some tough love at the same time. And I don't know if the conversation would have went a whole lot different the next day. She might have been a little bit calmer. Who knows? She might have disappeared and went and found her some ice. NY said, if you're speaking of, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, NY. I agree. I think he is. I do. But if he gonna press you and you say no, and he accepts your no, and you're in a position where you have to just tolerate him annoyingly continuing to press you about spicy content, then you have to just stand 10 toes on your no and deal with how annoying he is until you're in a situation where you don't need him. Sometimes that's the case. Although he ought to leave people alone, you know? Her being over there with Polo, like I said, I'm glad that she is not on the streets, but you got two addicts together. Two addicts together. Deciding to take some D rugs is not going to fix her situation. And what is she going to do? Not go to um the place whoever helped you with your ID because they're slow and they're fake help. Does she have the money? Cuz places like that, they will finance that and help you get your documents and everything so that you can get the ID that you need. I mean, and the other thing is she probably, I don't know how that works. The other reason I would guess that she needs help too is cuz she don't have a stable address. So where they going to mail the ID to? It's not like you can go and pick it up, you know? Although it would be cool if Marcus got a PO box. I had said different ones for individuals, but maybe he could just get one so that when people need an address, they can have stuff mailed there. But then there's so many risks that potentially go with that, along with that, of people accusing him of stealing and stuff like that because they're addicts. They might receive it and forget they got it. They might accuse him of stealing because there's, the for whatever reason, addicts are high risk. They're high risk. So I wouldn't trust them. But I don't know. I'm saying it could simply be like, okay, you can use this to receive your ID, or with approval you can get something mailed to that address or whatever it is. I'm sure there's ways. But I just couldn't believe how entitled she was. I'm gonna wrap this up. I wasn't planning to be on here too long. I just wanted to speak to that because I was blown away. I was like, what is she talking about? What you thought you was gonna get same day help? How long you been out of jail? Hell, you can't even get a damn ID in the mail that fast. You don't bring anything to the table? Or you thought you was supposed to jump to the front of the line? What are we talking about? What are we talking about here? She needs an attitude adjustment. And I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna wrap up and I maintain, like I said, he could have been a little easier on her, let her sleep on it or whatever. Maybe gave her a warning for clarification, like, look, I need content. So you're gonna have to give content. If you don't, you out of here. And if he hasn't done it already, then maybe he just needs to warn the people, like, listen, I need content, you need a place to stay. I have to be able to get content on you. If I don't, instantly you're out. It could be like that as well. And in that case, it's not cold. But also, she knew what time it was. So I just saw a lot of entitlement and it wasn't cool. She has other things that she can do with herself. She can get herself together. She can choose not to be skating on ice. That she can choose to do. She can choose to lean on whoever she can in her family if she could, if she didn't do anything to cause them not to deal with her. And since she is in the room with Polo, and Marcus has access to her, which then makes me think or speculate, again, I don't know for sure, that he will continue to probably interview her or talk to her. I would like to see him push and ask more questions about, not just he started asking questions about the parents, but I would like to have him go more into that. Where are they? Why aren't they there? Can you go home? When's the last time you saw them? When's the last time you went home? Do you have siblings? How old are they? Like, you know what I mean? Like, as far as where are you in the age order? If they're older, how much older? Like, would they welcome you into their home? Stuff. And for all I know, he might have asked her that on her older videos. I have to go back and rewatch them. But even if that's the case, it's been a minute since we got introduced to her. So to ask those questions again would be like current, fresh information. And what's the deal with that situation? You know, do you have folks at home? Would anyone allow you to move in with them? Do they know about you going in and out of jail? Are they aware that you are out here skating on ice? I would like to know that as well. What happened when you went to get your ID? What exactly, like, did they tell you, like, more details or whatever? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. That I think that would be interesting. But yeah, so I like I said, y'all, I wasn't really planning to be out here too long. I just wanted to kind of touch on that, and there we go. More on Gabby. Um she's so young. She's so young. She could turn this whole thing around. I mean, you could turn it around at any age, but at 23 years old, this could literally be her testimony, and she could turn things around and get on the right track. But that's going to take her wanting that more than anything else. And then leaning into the woe is me victim mentality and just like being entitled is going to get her absolutely nowhere. Nowhere. You know what I mean? And so, I hope that something leads her out of that, even if it's rehab and she learns some skills in there, but it don't seem like that's where she's at mentally. So y'all chime in, let me know what y'all think. Everybody, I want to thank you for coming in. Thanks for the support. Thank y'all for the likes. I definitely appreciate that. I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all Sunday. I'm sending love y'all way, all the best of everything. And with that being said, I'm gonna get up out of here. If you catch this on a replay, please double tap this, hit that thumbs up for a like. And with that being said, I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna catch y'all on the rebound. Peace. Thank you.